Hey, good morning, guys. This is another members only stream, right? So, I said yesterday I put something together, and what I want to do is just kind of emphasize really, what I've done in the last two member streams, right? And what I've kind of explained and why. So, look, in terms of the start of this year, nothing's really happened, right? In terms of the much bigger picture, we've literally been, falling down in terms of euro. I am still expecting, an ultimately stronger dollar. I don't think we've really tapped into the higher time frame liquidity, right? I don't think this was enough of a tag, right? So the third, fourth, fifth, whatever the first video I did was, and I drew this, in terms of what I was expecting. The the move down, right? This was the kind of the first tag. Now, we could argue that this move up and this move down is designed ultimately to make you think that we've actually got a higher low, right? Which, currently we have. And that higher low will drive, beyond this, right? Now, my only concern, my only kind of apprehension there is that, especially with yesterday's candle, I think, we had this kind of gap filled. And what we're going to be seeing is, a lot of buyers coming in on this, right? You're seeing this low followed by a higher low, followed by the gap fill, right? This is very impulsive in terms of a candle. And we've now got, this long wick, right? So I think the whole game, designed to kind of sucker you into thinking, we're off from, everything's kind of grand overall. The reality is, I think there's a little bit more to this, right? Behind the scenes, kind of as per usual. So if I was to zoom back out, right, I've put the stochastic on purpose. I'm looking for the weekly view, right? So the weekly view's on. I'll come out to a weekly time frame. So what I'm actually seeing, right, and this is the bit that kind of, not so much concerns me, but this is the bit that I guess re-emphasizes what I've been thinking in terms of DXY, right, and in terms of the strength of the dollar in the general sense, is that we've got this kind of false bar, right, and we've kind of gone pretty much nowhere, right, in this kind of block, and probably even go further across, right. So we've gone pretty much nowhere. Now, the reason that I see, this is a potential, not a problem, but a potential move down rather than up, right, is that if we zoom out even further, the liquidity that we have down here, right, is what I think we're aiming for and what I think we kind of after in the grand scheme of things, right? So we've got a massive block down low, right? I think we've got this false bar sitting here. I think the daily will play the games to get the, the early kind of traders in and then ultimately wipe out those stops, right? And I think that really is the fuel for the move up. So what I've said in terms of DXY is DXY, we come across the DXY actually. So what I've said, DXY, right? The 100.70 level and the 108 were two very important levels for me over the last, 2 years, potentially even longer. So you guys who've been with us for a longer time, you remember me talking about this level. We had to kind of poke through, we've come back, we've retested exactly to the level, we've come back, we've kind of played around the level, right? We haven't really had momentum below this, right? So for me, this is kind of the holding line currently in terms of DXY, right? The real, I guess, the real kind of target area is this here, right? Now, you're going to have to think what we done in literally one move yesterday, right? What that caused the market to give in terms of the current situation. Oh, sorry, this is a weekly time frame. That spike up, right? What that caused everything to do, right? Everything went red, right? So can you imagine what this brings, right? In terms of a move like this, we've got liquidity up and above, right? And there's a lot more. You have to come, we're even further back, right? Here we go. So you're coming back into this area of liquidity, right? Which is why I think this one is just something that we'll, potentially tag, reject through, and go again, right? So for me, I still feel this is on the cards. This will equate to the euro. This will obviously come into things like gold it'll end up hitting the stock market and obviously other things like crypto and so on and so on. But look, for me, nothing's really changed, right? So this is what I'm seeing still, right? The very short term moves in terms of euro. I think we are, long now for a couple of days at least, right? And again, depending on what kind of news comes out or what we're expecting to happen in the next couple of days. We've obviously had a lot of kind of to in and fro in terms of these, I guess, trade wars, if you call them that. Um, and I think it's just uncertain times, right? So I'm still looking for the dust to settle before making any form of, long term play, right? Now, shorter time frame, let's come down into some smaller stuff. I'm go back to euro right now. You can obviously replicate this in terms of the Aussie dollar, for example. I'll take the monthly and the weekly off, and I'll just stick the daily on, right? So if I look at the daily current situation, get rid of the arrow as well. I'll hide that rather than getting rid of it. Right? So if we look at this current daily situation, we've taken out obviously the lows, right? So that's kind of gone now. This one for me becomes the new, area of interest. And get rid of this for now because that's gone as well. So there's my area of interest, right? And again, I'm not being fussy. I'm not anchoring that. I'm just putting that roughly at the moment. Now, in terms of, prior moves, this one, again, I kind of feel that we've passed this, right? So I'm looking at this and saying, I don't need this, right? We then have this as our new high. So my current range is actually gone from there to there, right? This is my current range on that daily time frame, okay? So what I'm expecting at the moment is within that daily range, okay? I want to come down in just a weekly range, right? I want to come down into these smaller time frames, right? And I want to see what are we actually seeing, right? So right now, move down and move up. Right? I'll come into a smaller time frame again to see where I'd expect this move up to kind of not finish, but I kind of feel we're going to do something like this, followed by this. Right? This is the type of thing that I'm currently looking for. So I'm not really long. I'm not short at the moment. I'm looking for what are we seeing now, these intraday timeframes. On the intraday time frame, I'm kind of seeing the same thing, right? Now, this one, I'm going to anchor this one actually to there, right? There's my current area, my current breakthrough. If we break through this area, I'd like to see a break followed by a retest, right? Potentially a second break being a sweep, right? That obviously does fill the gap and beyond. And then, like I said, I think for me, then it becomes kind of interesting again in terms of the larger scale pullback to go again, right? So you can kind of see I've drawn a similar picture on every time frame from the weekly, daily, and so on. So I'm currently expecting the drive back up, and this is just to get you guys to see this from again maybe the prop firm side. If you're taking these smaller time frame trades, the general idea is that I'm looking for nothing long. I probably could take a short if I wanted to take something once we break through, but again, that's where the 15-minute will come in. And then, kind of short to long, right? So the momentum at the moment is currently back up, right? But that backup is really only a pullback of a much larger move, right? So that's currently what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the pullback up for a move down, and that's kind of where my sentiment, sits, right? So again, it's been a bit kind of quiet. I'm not forcing anything at the moment. I think in terms of looking for some, some bigger stuff, these things will kind of happen and play themselves out. I really want the dust to settle from a personal point of view. I'm not interested at the moment in terms of, bigger trades. I'm currently looking for, shorter time frame opportunities, which, these things will represent and kind of give you opportunities as they come. But again, don't force it. Don't kind of rush it. We're only a couple of days. There's still going to be, a little bit of news. There's still going to be a little bit of, numbers and things that will come out. It's still early days in terms of this Trump transition, right? And I think, people don't really understand or appreciate yet how much of an impact this is going to have. A very strong dollar, which is what this is probably likely to lead to, is going to be bad pretty much for everything else, all right? So just keep that in mind, and don't jump the gun, don't rush in, right? So anyway, I'm gonna leave it like that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next stream.